So I went from solo at 16 to flying a Phenom 100 as a corporate pilot at 24 years old. This is my full journey, full story to get there. At 16, really even before that, I grew up flying in planes as a passenger with my father. He's a pilot. We flew in a Piper Aztec, going to Oshkosh and air shows, things like that. And that just really gave me the bug for flying. And then when I turned 16, my father purchased a Cherokee 140, and I learned to fly in that. I mowed yards in the summer and sold firewood in the winter to help pay for my flight training. I was blessed and lucky enough to have access to the plane, so all I had to pay for was the fuel and the instructor. When I was 17, I took my private pilot check ride, passed it, and I really at the time didn't plan on pursuing aviation as a career and as far as being a pilot. I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. But the more I thought about it, the more I flew, building hours just for fun while I was in high school. I just really fell in love with it. When I graduated high school, I had my associate's degree from a local community college, and I already had my private pilot's license. So I was a little bit ahead of the game as far as my journey to becoming what I hoped at the time be an airline pilot. So when I was 18, I went to Arkadelphia, Arkansas, to Henderson State University, which is a Part 141 flight program. If you don't know what 141 is, it's basically a program that the FAA recognizes at a flight school or a college that allows you to reduce the time it takes to be airline transport pilot. You normally can get that license at 1,500 hours, and Part 141 training reduces it to 1,000. So that was my goal, is reducing my time it took to get the airlines by 500 hours. From there, I got through all my flight training from instrument, commercial. I got my certified flight instructor, CFI, CFII, and multi-engine training down there. I also graduated my college in 2.5 years. Once I graduated, I decided to instruct there for 6 months, and that was fun. I enjoyed it. It was rewarding. It was good to build hours, and that was kind of my goal, was just flight instructor and build hours. But then it kind of shifted. In July of 23, I decided to move back home to Northwest Arkansas. I didn't have anything lined up, no job, nothing. I was just basically going to look and try and be a flight instructor up in the area, build my rest of my hours. I ended up stumbling into eventually what would become ferrying airplanes and buying and selling airplanes. This was amazing. I got so much good experience and ultimately built the rest of my flight hours doing this. I flew all kinds of aircraft. I flew Bonanzas of all sorts, Beechcraft, King Airs, Barons, all the Cessnas, twin Cessnas, and MU2s. Got tons of great, amazing experience. Flew all around coast to coast, ferrying airplanes around. Ultimately, this is how I got to become the youngest MU2 pilot in the world at the time. Person who I was working for as an aircraft dealer had an MU2, and he was partners in it, and they needed another pilot, and I was just right there, and it fell in my lap to where I was able to get my training done in the MU2, flew it around a bunch. So when I got into contract flying, I first started out doing a trip for these guys in a Baron, and then they ended up purchasing a Cirrus SR-22, so I flew that around for them some. 2025, I was flying a Cessna 210 as a ferry, and I had a plane crash. And if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. There's a full story about what happened. And after the plane crash, I kind of took a step back from ferrying airplanes and just focused on flying the Cirrus that I was flying. And then they ended up buying half of a MU2. And so I flew the MU2 since I was already rated in it. I flew the MU2 around for them, and then ultimately they ended up in the Phenom 100, which is what I'm flying for them now. That's my only flight gig, basically. It's my full-time job now, is what I do, is manage and fly that Phenom, and I love it. It's such a dream. So that's basically my full story from Solo at 16, getting my licenses through college, a little bit of flight instructing, ferrying airplanes, and now flying the jet around. So happy and blessed and thankful. So if you enjoyed that, please like, subscribe, comment down below, and see you in the next one.